Hit record. All right, welcome back to the Best Boys of Film podcast by the Pitt Brothers. I'm one of those brothers. I'm JP, aka Slob Thomas, and I'm here with my bro Ham with the wavy brows.
Caterpillar Johnson.
Caterpillar Johnson. You should take that act on the road.
Yeah. And now for Caterpillar Johnson. Thank you. But what's up, everybody? I'm Kory for the story, also known as part 2 of the Pitt Bros.
Ew.
We're here to talk about some fucking we're here to talk about some booms, some big old booms.
Yeah, kind of came up with this idea on a whim. Change it up from all the artsy fart movies we've been watching lately. I mean, not like all of them. We watched some, mainstream critical movies more so, really. But we've been having fun with that, and I wanted to, bring it back home to a genre that is near and dear to all of our hearts. And that is the genre of action. Many of our films as youths were based around the action adventure genre, and obviously growing up in the 90s, and getting a lot of 90s and 80s movies, that was the basis of a lot of it. Terminator 2 was when we were kids. Was when we were very little, and I remember seeing that movie constantly played. But all right, I'm excited. You're excited. First week, we got First Blood in the raid, and they were fucking wild. But Kory,
Yeah.
Before we get to that, you got any updates for us? You seem to not be. You're in a different location every stream. So where are you today?
Yeah. Today I'm in West Hills, California. I am staying at my my buddy Evan's house. He is housing me while I'm house sitting for him while he goes on vacation, and I'm out here for work. Got back on Euphoria, and then I got picked up on a new show for hopefully multiple days, but I think this first one's just kind of a one and doneer. But yeah, excited to be back out. Hate flying, just sick of it. I'm tired all the time, but here we are.
Well, no, that's exciting. I'm glad you're getting work now that the world is coming back.
Yeah, it's been very busy. Like, this is the most work I've probably had in all of my career.
That's good to hear. So I know you've been busy this week. Was it hard for you to get your movies done?
Kinda. I watched First Blood on the plane here yesterday, and then last night I sat and watched the raid with Evan. It was a nice way to finish off the week.
That's not bad.
But I worked. Yeah, I had to work every other day and just didn't have the time to do it. But got it in. Made it work.
I mean, not that with these movies more so than a normal movie. That's the thing about action is when you want to look at it under a critical lens, you really have to, watch it. You can't just look at it and set the scene in your mind and look at something else and listen to it, because so much of what you're there for is that, the visuals and the kinetic storytelling and all that, which is something.
The boom, you might say.
Yeah, the boom. But the boom's also audio. The boom is onomatopoeia. But
Yeah, gotta cue up the POD.
Here comes the boom. Yeah, if I could play that on without getting copyright striked, you do bet your ass I'd be using that. Here comes the boys from the South. It's perfect. The best boys from the South.
Here comes the boom.
Ready or not. All right. So no other updates with me. Nothing much really. Just been working on house stuff. We got there's gonna be some work being done on our house in a few weeks, so we got to prepare and clean and things. We've had our house issues last week. We were gonna go to camp today, but then we decided not to. So I'm kind of here, kind of opened up. Days opened up, hoping to get some things done. It's been raining constantly, so yeah, just normal house things.
It's 100 degrees out here. No rain in sight.
It's warm. It's been humid as fuck because all the rain, but it hasn't been like abnormally hot. Like it's gone up to 90, I think.
I think the hot day was like 93 a week ago, but then after that rain, it cooled it back down.
All right. Well, they don't want to hear about the weather. They can go to the Weather Channel. Let's get into these movies then. For Boomfest, boom, 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 boom. I should have had some drops ready. Maybe I will for next week. Like explosions and that'd be good. But yeah, should we start? I feel like we should start with First Blood, right?
Yeah.
All right.
This was a nice watch because I had watched this with Dad like a million times growing up.
Yeah, our dad always said this is one of the best movies.
I remember when we got him the Blu-ray for I think Father's Day or something back when like the Blu-rays first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all watching it down in the basement. It was just like, holy shit, this looks so much better. How do they do it?
Yeah, they didn't have a 4K stream available, so I watched it in 1080, and it looked really good.
Yeah, same here. Honestly, for both movies, I couldn't find I could only find a 1080 stream.
What do we got here? No, wrong one. So yeah, classic film. Seen it a million times, but I haven't actually watched it front to back in a good 5 or so years. I want to say, this is a movie I watched a million times, but I was definitely remembered a lot more. Like there was a lot more nuance I noticed this time that I probably didn't notice the first few times through. But this is an excellent fucking film. This is excellent movie. I honestly, the first act I would say is flawless. From the beginning through all the way until things start to slow down. Like after the first guy the cop dies in the helicopter and all that. It kind of slows down a bit before the army comes, or the National Guard part.
Yeah,
from up to that point, flawless.
My only gripe was just I feel like that guy the sheriff is just hating on him for not a real reason.
Well, but back in the day, there was a lot of hate for hippies and homeless, and these small towns they thought that like letting a couple people, like that hang around your town, that it would only just encourage more of it. So
he says a line like, "You think you're gonna wear that jacket with that flag on it?"
Well, he thinks he's a hippie. He thinks he's just a hippie. He doesn't know that he's actually a veteran, that he's just wearing some military jacket, and he's like, you got to think about when this was made.
Yeah. Well, I guess in the book, the anger stems from the sheriff is a veteran from the Korean War and is pissed off that he doesn't get the same amount of attention as Vietnam War people do, or some shit.
Yeah,
like
that doesn't seem to be the thing here. I think it's just this is like a cop that hates hippies, and I think honestly, you could have any kind of stand in terms of a person of color. Obviously this is a veteran with mental illness, but a person of color, an LGBT person, honestly just a homeless person of various kinds. People would get fucked with by cops, especially in the South.
This takes place in Washington, I think. State.
Yeah. It doesn't. I don't think that matters. So Washington has some extremely conservative areas in it, and you just got to think about that small town mentality of wanting to keep it clean. And you got a sheriff who thinks he's the king of the town and can literally do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's doing good. There seems to be a lot of animosity between him and the military, and just like anyone who's coming into his shit, like this is my kingdom, like you don't come in here and tell me what to do, kind of mentality.
I think it was the 80s hair that Sylvester Stallone had that really set him off.
This movie is what, 1979, isn't it?
I think it's 82.
82. Yeah, 82. Yeah, sorry. Of the novel 72. Yeah, it's it's poofy hair is very apparent in the beginning section. And yeah, there was an epidemic with Vietnam vets afterwards that even to this day are struggling with getting proper medical care and things like that.
Yeah, that was one of the things that, like, as a kid, you know, when he has the breakdown at the end, it was like, yeah, I get it. He's been through all this, but like all the little things leading up to, like, the little subtle things, like for PTSD in the first act, picked up a lot more on this time, like watching it as a grown adult. But I thought it was really good. It's definitely Stallone, which I guess co-wrote this. You know, he definitely was showing off some range on this.
Yeah, I think Sylvester Stallone he got like really hands on in the early days, Rocky stuff, the middle Rockies, and like even later with the Expendables and stuff, he seemed like really wanting to be involved in the filmmaking side of things. He's not just a dumb action guy, even though he's in a lot of iconic action films.
Yeah.
And he's a big muscly, and he's not even that tall, but he's just a muscly, really well-built guy. But yeah, this is, like I said, the whole first act through the middle is flawless to me. It's like so engaging, and it's such a relevant story today. Well, like relevant more than ever, really. If you know, it's just for, like I said, replace veteran with Vietnam vet with anything. And this applies. The same story could happen. It just, like, in this story, these cops fucked with the wrong guy. You know, just think about that. Like, they're fucking with this war hero, but think about all the people that aren't war heroes and aren't capable to defend themselves, that, you know, have to take that shit from those police. This is a powerful message beneath all of it, and then it turns into fucking Grand Theft Auto. Like, it feels like Grand Theft Auto on 5 stars by the end of it, and it's the chaos, and like how do you get to de-escalate this? How do you possibly get out of this without being killed, or at least in jail for the rest of your life? But yeah,
the fucking, when they get him into the police station and they are just beating the shit out of him and hosing him down and all this stuff, it was just like, god damn, this literally was just like a drifter, and it's just like I don't know, it's just like this not faux animosity, but it's like animosity towards just because you don't know the person,
and they look different than you. They're a little unkempt. They're pretty, they are a homeless person.
And it's just like the dude's just coming in looking for a place to eat, and it's just like if this all could have been avoided if the sheriff was just like not an asshole and was just like, here's the diner, and then drove away. But yeah, it's a great. Brian Dennehy is a sheriff. He's such a fucking prick. I think he just died. My god,
he just died a couple years ago.
So good at being just a fucking asshole in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. And you just like want him to get this whole fucking movie. You just like waiting for it, because like Rambo could kill him at any point, and that's what is. Like the colonel, once the guy who trained Rambo comes, he explains, is like, Rambo could kill all of you at any point. Like, he's doing y'all a favor by keeping you alive. He's already done you a service. Like, leave him alone, let him go. We'll pick him. You know, the thing about, like, we'll pick him up in another city working at a car wash a few weeks from now, like, without any violence. Like, stop this. The cast is solid. But besides Brian Denny, you know, the young red-haired cop who was very slender in the very beginning. He was like the only one that didn't like what was happening to Rambo. That's David Caruso, from CSI. Well, I forget one. CSI Miami, is that the one he's on?
I'm not sure, but I know the name. So.
Yeah, he's a lot older now, and he just like I forget. He looked so young, and but I definitely could tell that was him. Also, one of the other cops was Hank from Twin Peaks, which you probably didn't get far enough to meet that character, but
I don't think so.
But yeah, it's just like I knew these cops, and they're always just getting fucked up. So in the middle, not in the middle, but like right before halfway, you have the scene where the cops, it's after the guy in the helicopter died, and all the cops are kind of going up the hill with the dogs, and there's like all these traps set, and it's like a straight horror movie. Like this scene is a straight horror film.
It's like Predator. There's so many.
I thought
so
that
many
too.
similarities that Predator had from this sequence. I felt
same.
Like,
I thought the same thing.
Like, let's make Predator just John Rambo if he was an alien.
So I have actually I have it written down here as one of my notes that First Blood walked so Predator could run. Is the quote I have here.
Honestly, yeah, it's just
and Predator is a really revolution, like a fucking like I put that on a similar level. It doesn't have the message maybe, but it has the genre blending, and it has the aesthetic, and it has this like the horror action mixture, and then this has that. This definitely has that horror element to it. At least in that scene, it's super like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's this monster that just comes, this boogeyman that comes and gets you out of the tree.
Literally jumping off the top of trees, diving onto people,
stabbing people in the ass.
Fucking yeah. Taking people's legs out. That guy might not walk again, but he's alive. With the trap that just spikes.
Oh my god! It's like his thighs. It was like hit him in his thighs. Oh, it might hit him his dick.
Real quick before that, I was gonna ask when they're after the guy falls out of the chopper and Rambo's just like hands up, just like it's like I didn't do anything, it was an accident or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they all just start shooting. He grabs his head. Does he just get hit with a ricochet bullet?
I think that a ricochet or he something grazed him.
Because he doesn't really have any like mark there other than just like covered.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It didn't really come back to it. Like he was injured, he was bleeding, but it cut his face. But yeah, I wasn't sure if it was a ricochet or what. Did you look?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I was just curious. But I was gonna say apparently the original cut of this movie is 3 hours long, and then the studio made them cut it down to 90 minutes.
Holy fuck! Holy fuck! Holy fuck, dude! That's a lot of time, and that's a completely different film. Like,
yeah, well, I guess like it was bad. Like the 3 hour cut was bad from what I read, and they cutting it down to 90 minutes is what made it like the masterpiece that it is, I guess.
So it's like it was like one in the editing room because the director Ted Koetcheff, is that how you say that? Koetcheff?
I think that's how you say it, Koetcheff.
Ted Koetcheff. I looked at his filmography, and I mean he's a jobber. He's done good big movies, but nothing like as critically acclaimed nearly to this level. Since let me I'll pull it up again. But yeah, fucking this is so maybe that's what it was. Like it was like a team effort, and the guy overshot, and it was enough to cut it into a good movie. I
that ricochet thing is just would have played out in the longer cut,
and then you cut it down.
Yeah.
So filmography, he did Fun with Dick and Jane, the 1977 one. First Blood, then he did Uncommon Valor with Gene Hackman. I think that's supposed to be good or decent. Weekend at Bernie's, he did a bunch of comedy. He did some comedies.
Wow, how do you do this and then Weekend at Bernie's?
Yeah, Weekend at Bernie's. I remember they're looking at him like there's some. Oh, yeah, a bunch of crap. That's the rest is all crap. Television, yeah, nothing worth mentioning. But Yeah, it's like this whole movie is Brian Dennehy trying to overcompensate. Look, I am man. I am a big man. I'm biggest man. I'm big man. And then he's just getting punked over and over again until he has this fucking breakdown.
And I am the right. I am in the right at all times.
And people start getting killed because of his dumbass shit. Those dogs got killed. That old man probably died. They never really came back to the old man or how they got any of those people out of there.
The official body count for this movie is 1 death, but like the car that later in the movie when he gets out of the mine and he steals the military truck and he runs over, he hits this cop car off and it just explodes onto another thing. Or the gas station is a 24-hour gas station that he blows up, so definitely somebody had to be working in there. But the official body count is only 1.
Yeah, I thought about that. There's a scene where he ran a cop car off the road and it hit a car on the side of the road and it just instantly blew up.
Yeah, immediately.
That is where my flaws of the movie come in. Are probably in the second act. The pace slows down and it's good because you need to fucking recuperate after all the shit you just saw.
You're getting your Rambo exhibition.
You're getting his background. This is the reveal that he is a fucking kill god, a god of death. And
he's a fucking
and nobody cares.
His name's Ryu from Death Note.
I don't understand how the state police are supposed to be in there and be under control, but for some reason the sheriff is still calling the shots because he's just talking loud enough, the loudest.
Yeah.
Like I didn't understand the whole jurisdiction thing because all he did was like, I don't give me that jurisdiction crap, and then it just they were there, but they weren't really. The state police seem to be doing the larger like shit, but the sheriff was just like, I want to be the one who kills him. I thought the scene with the National Guard was hilarious because they were all really stupid and like they just like, I don't want to die, like I just do this part time. And then they blow the cave up with a thing. Oh yeah,
an unauthorized rocket launcher is just. Like no one cleared that, and it just fucking. And then they just assume he's dead. They don't even go to check to make sure. They're like, all right, let's all go home.
I thought it was worth noting that the cops have M16s just off rip before they even call in anybody. Like they just have them. They just have them. I'm like, geez, we're talking about militarized police today, and they have just M16s in the fucking tuck.
Yeah. I mean, granted, this is like, it's like a super action movie, but still, it's just like, what the fuck?
So I'm not gonna lie. This is a vibe that kept coming up for me. Is this movie kept reminding me of Metal Gear Solid 3 in particular. Because there was a scene with the helicopter and he's behind the tree and he's like shooting, he's like throwing rocks at it and shooting at it or whatever. They're shooting back at each other. And I was like, this looks like a video game. Like this whole way, this angle, and how it's like behind Rambo, like third person, and he's moving around the tree, and like you see the helicopter swinging back and forth. It's like, this looks like a video game. In particular, I kept thinking Metal Gear Solid 3. And then in the moment that he jumps off the cliff and just fucking somehow hits a bunch of branches and survives, I was like, oh, I thought he was gonna fall into the water, and then he didn't. But it also reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 3 because there's a part where Snake
falls off the bridge,
and then he has to do he has to like do first aid on it. Yeah, first aid on himself, and it was like, this is the exact same thing as that. And
I will say, I'm surprised that all he had was a cut that needed stitching on his arm at the end of the falling. I figured he'd be a lot more fucked up.
Yeah. That part was a little bit of it felt a little unreal to me, even if he hit
Hollywood movie magic.
Yeah, if he hit because like if you hit the water, then I'd be like, okay.
Yeah. There's a scene in the raid too that we'll talk about later that's like that, and it's like, for all the brutality, there's this one moment where it was just, oh, you guys would be dead. But
okay, let me see what I got here. They have some quotes. People start fucking with the law and all hell breaks loose was the quote, Brian Dennehy quote I wrote down for some reason. Also, Colonel Campbell from Metal Gear Solid is definitely modeled after Colonel Troutman. Like, I am 100% on the MGS influence for Kojima, because he loves his film.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a fan of like 80s action too, specifically.
Oh, what about the rat attack in the mine? I thought that was one of the weirder parts of the. I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
I don't think because rats don't gang attack like that.
Like it was like, yeah, it felt like D&D. Like it's like, do rats actually do that? I felt like if they're like that hungry and there's a swarm of them, so like if you walked into a big a swarm of rats, would they be like, oh, we got the numbers on you, human, you're fucked?
I don't think they would work like that because you're so much bigger.
They were big ass rats though. Those were some big rats.
Well, from what I was reading, like differences between the book and this, and I guess in the book it's bats that just start flying around them and fucking with them, which I don't know why they would change that. It's probably cheaper to just put fake rats on them than to try to coordinate bats. But
then after that, you brought up when he steals that army truck with the machine gun in it.
Yeah, the M60.
He just like he's like, hey, look at the road. That's how accidents happen. and
one thing about this movie is Sylvester Stallone's like his emotion, how he is as a character, I love, but some of his like line delivery is just so monotone and just generic Stallone that it's just like I guess back then
it's his style. I mean, that's definitely like it's become his style. Like I don't even think I don't even consider it bad acting because I'm so used to like this is just how Sylvester Stallone is. At the very end, his big ass speech at the end, I was just like, whoa, he's Stallone in it right now. And it's good. It's a good speech, but it's like very in his inflections.
It's like hearing him like his voice crack and stuff when he's like breaking down. Like it was good. Like it felt real.
It's a good performance. Yeah,
like what I would imagine real Stallone would do if he was in that situation.
But I want to go back to that truck because first that was a weird line, and it was almost like a look at the camera moment. That's how accidents happen.
And then as he clicks his seatbelt on and winks at the camera.
Yeah. The more you know. But then after he kicks, he asks him, he's like, "What are you hauling?" And the guy's like, "One M60 machine gun." and then he steals the truck. I'm like, cool, all right, one machine gun, and he parks it. I'm thinking like, oh, it must be so big, and the ammo's so plentiful that they need his entire truck, and it's just he able to carry all of it himself. And then needed a whole truck for it. I get the stand is big and everything, and you're like shooting it from the back of the truck, maybe?
Yeah, I guess, but he's hand-holding it, and I feel like that's a belt-fed gun, but I feel like I never see him. He's always two hands on it, and he just never reloads. But I'm pretty sure like that kind of gun is like because he wears the shit on his on him like the bullets and shit, but it's just where's the ammo coming from when he's just fucking unloading.
I saw it dangling. I saw the rope, the belt dangling on a few. Okay,
maybe I just missed it then. Because I had that written down. I was like, infinite ammo? ?
Oh no, he never reloads. Oh, he runs out of ammo several times in the first couple acts. But in the end,
But in the ending,
he's unlocked infinite ammo.
Yeah.
There was a note I have here that there's a shot when the sheriff is after the gas station explodes, the sheriff calmly tells everybody to evacuate the streets, not the town, just the streets. And you see a shot of a bunch of people in the streets, and then it goes back to the sheriff, and it goes back to the street, and everyone's gone instantly. And I was like, whoa! I was like, I mean, they could just be trying to show that some little bit of time has passed, but
there's a bunch of movies. There's a bunch of parts in that because I had that written down too, where it's just like you cut to. It's when Rambo's hiding in the cave and they're trying to do the radio thing, but it's like you cut to them, they're like reaching out to him. You cut to Rambo, he's just like eating for a second, and you cut back to the people, and it's pitch black night, and it's like no.
But it must have been that makes so much more sense with what you told me about the editing, because that's the kind of shit that's gonna happen, with editing down like that.
Yeah. But
knowing that makes sense for the flaws, especially in the latter part of the movie.
I have another note for the latter part. How do you feel about shooting one street light takes out the entire power of the city?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. No. He didn't shoot the street light. He shot the transformer.
Oh, it looked like he just shot the bulb out of the street light and explodes, and then the
No.
whole grid goes down.
Because the transformer explodes. Because I remember that part. I don't know why. I always remember that part from when he shoots the transformer. Because that's when
Either
the
way,
power goes out.
that shouldn't take out all of the
It
power.
would take out the block. It would take out like that block.
I feel like it would take out that side of the road.
I don't know. It would take out the immediate area around him, but I don't think it would take out half the
Because our power goes out on the farm all the time, and like I'll just drive past where it's out at, and it's just like it'll be like sometimes it goes like something will be right across the street from us, and it's like that's definitely got to be affecting us, and our power's not out, but all the neighbors are. But then something like 2 blocks down the street goes out, and I don't have power, but then the people across the street do. So it's I don't know. It's granted that's more of a town versus I'm in the cut, but I don't know. It just felt I felt movie, you know. It felt very movie. But I mean, at that point, he's walking around with a fucking M16 or M60, just gunning down, like trying to gun down the guy on the roof and blowing up shit at willy nilly. So
in the end, the sheriff, because he's holed up in the police station at the very end.
Yeah, he's like
and I was like,
roof.
and he comes out of it and it's just fucking decimated. And just like, geez, like this is what you fucking dumb cops get. This movie definitely has a big fuck cops vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it. I'm here for it because especially because of how ahead of its time it is. And it's not, you know, at least at the very least it's fuck bad cops. But if you're somebody that thinks there should be major changes in the police system, then this is a film for you. In the end, I'm like, how, you know, they don't explain what happens to Rambo in the end. He just walks off with the colonel. The colonel escorts him away, and he doesn't get handcuffs put on him or anything, right?
No. No. He's in cuffs. He's in cuffs. In the front,
he's in cuffs.
behind.
Yeah.
And then it's a big trench coat draped over him.
Yes.
And they're like walking him like out of the police station.
So it's not very obvious if he was going to be going to jail, if he was going to be killed or whatever. Now we know because of how much money this movie made, you know, how successful this film was. They spawned a franchise, so they weren't going to end it. But I wonder does the book just end? Like, does it have an ending?
In the book, in the original cut of the movie, Rambo kills himself at the end in the police station. But
yeah, that's the only true. And if this was if this was reality, that would be the true ending.
So that was the original cut, but I guess with the audience testing, it didn't go over so well, so they had it end this way, which is a little more not anticlimactic, but it just
leaves it up in the air.
Kind of end. But it leaves it open for like the sequels and stuff. But
because the sequels are just supposed to be action porn, like straight up. Especially the second one.
The second one is First Blood Part 2. I've never actually seen the second one.
It's supposed to be not good, but it's supposed to be like a 3 out of 5 like action, quintessential 80s action porn movie.
But calling it First Blood Part 2, like, does it just pick up right after this, or is it because clearly he's not in jail if he's out and about doing things? And
I think the premise is he gets like Colonel Troutman like sends him on a mission to redeem himself or something like that. Like he has to do some kind of special agent mission, because or whatever. He goes back into the military. Essentially, is what happens.
Does he look at the camera and say, "What is this? Some kind of Suicide Squad?" And then he winks.
What are we, expendable?
Yeah, what are we, Expendables?
I don't know, I've seen those movies, but I picture that.
I've seen the first one. It's the first one's cool.
To see the first one.
Yeah, all at the end of the month. But the first one's cool because it's just all of the '80s action stars together. It's pretty rad to see. Mickey Rourke is wild.
As much as it changes pace, I do worry about my attention span for all these action movies. Just watching people punch for an hour and a half. At least they're not long. That's the best part about it. Is none of these movies are long as far as I know. All right. So what do you give in First Blood?
I give it a 4. Granted, I feel like everything we watch is 4 or and above, but um, I liked it a lot. I yeah, I mean it's a solid, it's a genre defining thing. I feel like that set up the kind of solidified this is how you do an action film. And then clearly going from like Predator and then the subsequent sequels of this where they just, scrape out just the awesome action parts of it and you get less and less plot as the decades go on. But
Yeah, I think it had the potential to be more than a 4. Um,
mm,
like I thought it had the potential. On Letterboxd, a lot of the people I follow, I was surprised, gave it 3s. Or 3.5s, and I think it's how much influence it has, and how much like the message and how well it is executed, at least up to a point.
I
It's
guess
not
with its original release in the 80s, it was not well received critically, but it was well received audience wide. And that's what it was one of those instances where there was like the divide between critics and audience. But then it got re-reviewed like in the 90s or the 2000s to give it a more like a Rotten
by the
Tomatoes.
90s
Now it
is
has an
already a
87.
classic.
Yeah. But it's in the re-review now it's like 87 on I think Rotten Tomato, but it still has a 61 on Metacritic, I think.
Jay from Red Letter Media I have as a 3. Roger Ebert has a 3 out of 4. Ralph the
A
movie
3 out of
maker.
4 is like a 4 out of 5.
Yeah. Ralph the movie maker has a 3, and Patrick Willems has a 4. I think it's solidly a 4.
Yeah, I think so.
I flirted with giving it a higher score. I really was like, is this a 4.5? Is this more? I almost wanted to give it after the first act, I was like, this is perfect. Like this is 5 style. This is 5 to me right now. But then yeah, not that the back half is bad. It's just the holes. There were holes a little bit that started appearing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty much how I feel. It was just certain things that are just you get out of the reality of it, but it's because it just feels so well grounded in the beginning. Other than like, I still feel like they just the sheriff 0 to 100 on them real quick, but
real quick, real
but
quick.
maybe there was more maybe than the original cut, the 3 hour. There was more going on that escalated that. Um, but
Cool,
yeah, solid 4 though. Great movie.
cool.
John
Um,
J. Rambo.
I really do want to see the second one, and I almost just straight up put it on after I watched it. But I was like, I should save it. But then I don't want to wait all the way till next year, till next Boomfest to do Rambo 2. But Rambo 2 is also probably not good enough to do for a regular old episode. So we'll have to
Yeah,
figure that out.
I've only actually ever seen Rambo 1 and 4, which was like the
Yeah,
first of the
same,
old man Rambos,
same.
which
I've those are
that one's
also the only 2 I've
wild.
seen. I've seen Hot Shots Part 2, the parody, the Rambo parody with Charlie Sheen, a
Yeah,
million times.
I don't
Um,
think I've ever seen that.
oh man, they used to play it on Comedy Central all the time as a kid. Those movies, there's all kinds of really good, like airplane style comedy
Airplane was so
movies.
good.
Airplane's a fucking classic. It's on the
It's
list.
the original. It's the original scary movie.
Yes, the scary movie style. But like the Hot Shots was that. There's Top Secret with Val Kilmer. There's so many of those throughout the 80s through the 2000s.
Mhm.
But the airplane is the best. But all right. Yeah, I feel good about First Blood. It's the thing about action movies is I feel like I have less to talk about. Action good. The plot, First Blood actually gives me more to talk about than even The Raid, I feel like. Because The Raid is, you're in the same place, the same set for the whole movie.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, let's do it. I think I have got more to say about the raid than this one, just because this one being I've seen it so many times, whereas the raid was like it was the first time I'd seen it. Um, and I'd heard so much about it, like when it came out, and then and everything, and it's just it just always slipped under. Never got able to watch it.
I especially hear about the Raid 2. I've heard about both of them because of the style, but they say Raid 2 is the better of the two. Is that true?
That I've heard that as well, but I think that you can't. It's kind of like this to Predator. You can't get to the Raid 2 without the first one because the first one is just. I'm gonna outright say it while you're typing. I loved it. This was everything I wanted it to be. Um, when I like based on what I had heard. The only difference is I watched the director's cut, which is like 10 to 15 minutes longer, and you feel that 10 to 15 minutes of length versus like
Oh, I
it's
did. Mine
it's
was
like
an hour and 45. I don't know what I saw. I thought I saw the unrated version is what I
oh, that's
saw.
what I saw. That's what I
It's
saw. The
only a
underrated.
minute longer than the other one.
Oh, never mind. Then never mind. I thought
Yeah,
it was. I
yeah,
just
the
get
I
so much
looked because
into
I
it.
compared them, and the unrated one was just a minute longer. But
Yeah, I
so
watched the
that mean
unrated one.
that's just the film. That means you're just filling the film there, brother. Because I
Yeah.
also felt that. I thought this film had a lot of style. And there's obviously the martial arts and choreography are
I
fantastic.
love that this is not just your straight up normal like martial arts choreography. This is like martial arts meets street brawl style choreography,
Yeah,
and it
it's
is
like a
so good.
mixture of the
There is
flashy and the realistic,
like so much more knees and elbows than you'd normally get.
like Muay Thai stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and oh man, it's just like it's so funny how quickly everyone is just gets murked in the beginning. And then I'm just like, man, I thought everybody would just be fucking people up, and then when it gets
It's just
down to just like the core
the
people,
yeah.
and then it just goes off.
Yeah, it becomes
Um,
just straight up a martial arts movie once all the people get killed from the
it's
guns.
hard boiled but with fists.
Yeah, I've seen comparisons to Hard Boiled. I've seen comparisons, but I think there's a distinct difference between the two films. Which is that Hard Boiled has that opening sequence, and I think there's even a second sequence, but then there's this big long like it gets really slow and very like dialogue heavy, and you're learning
Mm.
about the characters, and there's this build up and build up, and you're just like waiting for the next action sequence, and then it's that 45-minute fucking torrent of awesomeness. And this felt like it just gave you the premise and then just said it put you in the location, and like they're
Yeah,
gonna
I feel
have
like
to
it
go
was
up to the
10
top,
minutes and then it was bam.
and then it was go. And I think there is a little bit of emotion lost in like connectivity for me with that versus Hard Boiled. This movie's great, and the action, the way it's shot, and the martial arts are great, flawless even, and very influential on a lot of stuff that's come out since, like your John Wicks.
Mm.
Um, and Atomic Blonde apparently I've read as influence in how it's shot. It's not like fucking Netflix Marvel shows or something, or just
Mm.
crappy action where it's all chopped up and you don't actually see any blows landing.
Yeah, this to me felt like
They
if you
just
took the hallway scene from the original Old Boy and made it an entire movie. Uh,
see, but the
in a good
Old
way.
Boy
In a
is a
good way.
long shot though. Old Boy is a long shot.
No, there are so many like that. The thing I love about this movie, there's so many long, not as long as that, but so many long sequences where you see the entire thing before there's a cut,
There's
and
also
like that.
cuts though. Like
Oh
cuts
no, for
around
sure. But I'm
punches.
just saying,
There's
like
also like cuts around
they
punches,
use,
but they
yeah,
make
they use
sure that
impact
you
points.
see the hits. They make sure that
Yeah,
you see everything landing, everything hitting.
yeah.
Where it's
Like
not
there's the
chopping to make you. It's not chaotic chopping to make
no,
you
no. It's like you're
disoriented.
watching for a good 5 to 10 seconds, and then there's a cut. Like it's like
Or
so
there's more.
you can
Well, even in the
follow it.
hallway, in the hallway fights, there was. I feel like a lot more cuts than in the room fights. So like
If you
the
get to yeah, the big scene that like was like real viral and blew up with this is whenever they get into like the drug making
Yeah, I
room,
figure that's the
like the
big
whole thing,
that's the biggest fight sequence
where
in
it's
the
just
whole
like
movie.
it's just old nuts, the main guy and the other guy who was guarding old nuts, and they're just fucking like everybody gets their time to shine, and it's just fucking brawling, and I loved it. It's all like longer things. You're just seeing so much more, like appreciating all the choreography. Like like I was watching this so intently, trying to see if you could pay attention, like notice when the actors were like you can tell in some fight things where like you can tell, oh, he was pre-ready for that kick to get there, or they're like
Yeah, yeah, because of the
this just felt
choreography.
so in tune and quick that it just felt like reactive because it was like if you were the stunt guy and you didn't keep up with the lead, you were gonna get hit. which made it feel so much more real than just like, all right, we're gonna time it and it'll go here and then it's here. Where this felt more like we know what you're gonna do, but the one guy's at the lead and you're just reactive to it, and it was so cool. I love all the knife work too.
Yeah, it feels realistic. It's like a good mixture of realism and like the flashy dance fighting that comes from like a Hong Kong style, a Jackie Chan
Mhm.
style. I watched actually a video afterwards on YouTube that was comparing what makes the raid choreography different from a Jackie Chan flick, or it's more static and a wide,
Mhm.
because you want to see all the items that Jackie Chan interacts with items a lot in the
Mhm.
around him in his choreography, whereas this is closer and does have static, but it also has chops like a more modern or Western thing, but it's chopped around like we were saying, the impact points and things connecting and things like that. Or yeah, it compared like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan style action flicks, and then this, and I'll send it to you. It was a really interesting to think about because
Now,
Jackie Chan is one of my favorite. Jet Li obviously was my favorite growing up, but I really do have appreciation for the theatrics of Jackie Chan films.
yeah, I was gonna say for those who don't, obviously in the audience, like Justin and I, our dad for some reason has just the wildest taste in movie stuff. But we grew
He's
up watching a
randomly
ton of.
great taste and randomly the worst taste. It's
He just
strange.
literally watches and loves everything, which honestly, I
I
wish
don't
I
think
had that.
he doesn't. I don't think he loves everything. He likes what he likes, and that's what it is.
But what I was gonna say was we grew up watching so much Jet Li and Jackie Chan stuff. Like I've seen Drunken Master probably 10 times as a kid, and I've seen
Yeah,
all of the Jet
he's
Li.
very much into Chinese martial arts films. We didn't
Yeah,
watch a lot of the classics. Like we didn't watch a lot of Bruce Lee, but we watched
mm-mm.
a ton of 80s and 90s
Yeah, we watched so
martial
much
arts
Jet Li
films.
movies. There was that one Jet Li series of movies that we like always had on. He always had on. It was like
Oh, that's the Legend, Fist of Legend, because
not the
that's the one that's Iron Monkey is like the prequel to those movies because it's Fong Sayuk. I remember that was what they were always about. Um,
yeah the
Once Upon a Time in China.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say Once Upon a Time in China, but I didn't know if that was a different movie.
Yeah, no, it
This
is.
was like
That's a series, and then yeah,
that's the
Iron
one I
Monkey
remember.
was a prequel to Once Upon a Time in China.
Yeah, we
I
watched
don't.
that's so much.
Yeah, I love those movies still this day. Yeah, Jelly was always my favorite, and he still is great. But there's something about just noticing the different styles in the choreography.
Yeah, I
Um,
was gonna ask, how do you think this compares to something? Because if Jackie Chan's is more theatrical, and so how do you view
this
this
is a
versus like
mix,
the
like
Jet?
I was saying. It's a balance. It's gritty and realistic,
Mhm.
but it's still choreographed. It's still flashy. There's still big moves. Um, Yeah, so apparently the director Gareth Evans, is that his name?
Evans, yeah,
Yeah,
I kept
not
wanting to say.
Edwards. Yeah, I almost said it there. I know that it wasn't true. But he did some movie in Indonesia, and he got introduced to the leads of this movie. I think the lead and he like showed him this martial arts style, and he never seen anything like it, and he's never seen anything like it in film. So he kind of I guess there's a movie he made before this one. I forget what it's called. It starts with an M. I didn't know how to pronounce it. Mento or something. But
Marentau,
oh yeah,
Marentau,
Marentau.
Marentau, yeah,
Yeah, that's
Marentau
it.
something.
But that's supposed to be the first movie that he starts using that, and then the raid is where it really starts to get, I guess, perfected. And like the filming action around that style. Yeah, it's super interesting, this guy's story, because it just like happened to make a movie or work
Yeah,
on something in Indonesia, and then met the Uwais, or however you say his name, the lead from this film.
yeah.
Yeah, apologize for
Uh, I
pronunciation.
I was gonna ask you, how I imagine it's got to be difficult when it's like you're directing, like you're a Welsh guy and you're in Indonesia and you're directing Indonesian actors. but if you don't like, it's not your native language. How do you tell if they're acting well, or are you just saying like, well, the inflection sounds right
So
to
I thought
me?
about this very thing in the very beginning of the movie,
Because I
and
know in Hollywood, like a lot of stuff, when you're doing informed stuff, they'll bring on acting coaches that are just there to help essentially get that, where it's like, this is what I want. And then the acting coach goes in and is really
yeah, I'm
kind of,
sure that there's like a lot of people that had to do like not just translation of language, but like in intention and what they wanted, and that was I don't know who, I'm sure there's people that spoke some English, and he had to pick up some um I'm not sure what the native language there, but Indonesian, and
I, I don't know.
apparently he did a segment on VHS 2, which
Huh.
yeah, the VHS is supposed to be considered
Yeah, I've heard
it's
things
supposed to
about
be
it.
like mumblecore or horror adjacent.
Yeah.
Um,
The but
yes.
my
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I know this is kind of unrelated, but this is the last thing I'm gonna say about Jet Li. Just because he has the
Yeah, this
greatest
can't
line
be the
of
Jet Li.
any.
This can't be the
Oh,
Jet Li cast.
he has the greatest line in any
Oh, I
martial
know what you're
arts.
gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. From the one, I'm nobody's
Yep,
bitch, and
yep.
you are
It's
all
the
mine.
final. It's the final line of the movie, and that is such a great fucking line.
Yeah, the
Ah,
ice. When I first saw that movie, I thought it was one of the best movies I've ever seen, and every time I've seen it since, it gets worse, and it gets worse.
yeah, same. But that line is such a great line to end on.
Oh man, I
I
remember thinking that movie
only
was so cool.
you are mine.
Um,
So good. But anyways, the raid.
yeah,
The sorry for the little tangent, but I love that this felt like a video game too, though. Like with the levels, like you're just trying to get to the boss level.
I
Where
wish I
it's just
would
like, oh, the
have
first.
seen Dread first because it really spoiled that novelty, I guess, the gimmick of the floor thing.
Yeah.
What's it called? It's kind of a similar idea. The Bong Joon Ho movie, Snowpiercer, on the
Yeah, like the
train.
trade.
They go from car to car, and you have to get from the one part of the train to the front. Similar idea. This is lower, but lower budget than that. It's really well done. The beginning is it gets you, it hooks you in. The
Mm,
soundtrack, which is done by Mike Shinoda
yeah.
and another fella, I had it written down, but as you can hear it, it sounds like classic Linkin Park shit. Randomly will come
Mm.
on. It's like, oh, this sounds like Cure for the Itch.
Joseph Trapanese.
That's it, Joe Trapanese.
I for some reason thought that Mr. Han was on this too. Like leading into this, I thought I had heard, but I guess that was confusing because I know he's done another movie um, called Mall or something like that.
Yeah.
But
But yeah. Anyways. But I
the
didn't honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you. I kept losing my interest in this movie. Um.
oh really?
Yeah. Maybe because it was like really long fighting, and it was like all the sets were the same. It was the same hallway for half the movie. Honestly, these are my same issues with the first time I watched Dread, because it was like nothing feels like it's progressing because everything looks the same.
Mm.
And Dread had some quirks and some funny moments, which this doesn't even have that.
Yeah,
It's
pure
just
levity in this.
no, it's super super serious. Like there's so many cool moments and like so many cool fights. I watched the whole drug lab fight in its entirety and was like, this is awesome. But I just like at the very end, when the old guy was the stuff with the old guy and the big boss, like I just didn't care anymore. I was just like, I just had nothing left. Like it was all just about watching Mad Dog lose to our boy, and it wasn't even just our boy. It was our boy and his brother, which I thought that part was like came halfway through the movie. Like, oh, this guy that's been here the whole time is actually his
Mhm.
brother, and it was like a cool twist.
But,
But
yeah,
it
they
didn't
like
really It didn't really
tease that
matter.
in the they tease that in the opening thing where he's our boy is like kissing his pregnant wife, and he's like I'll come back with I'll come back with him, I promise. And then you
Oh
don't
yeah,
really know what that he means.
you're right. I
And
forgot
then
about that.
but the so like that I kind of like the I was gonna say I was on board the whole time, not bored at all until it got to the final Mad Dog fight with the brothers, the two brothers in a van. And then that was just like we just kept cutting back to it. Like you cut back to the old guy, and then he's doing his thing.
Yeah, that
That's
was
more,
just, I stopped caring. I was just like, I stopped caring anymore because it was so long. And then he gets stabbed
yeah,
in the neck, and he's still fighting, and he's
yeah.
still
I was just
fighting.
like, how the fuck? I mean, I guess
And
that's why
just
they call him Mad Dog.
like, and it took both of them together to beat Mad Dog because he's so strong. I don't
Oh, how
know.
did you? But I will say that like it's just it's I can forgive it just because of how many awesome just like one shot little like finishers there were. Like there's one dude just like RKO's this guy onto the bottom of a broken door like spikes
Yeah,
and just is
there was a few pro wrestling
yeah,
moments that
super
happened, and I
badass.
was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
Yeah, I thought it was super cool. The only granted this is all, ridiculous, but the only one I was just like they would have died was like they jumped out that window and then landed on like two bodies, which has got to be at least 300 pounds, 350, landing about 2, 3 stories down on the fire escape. The bottom guy would have immediately been crushed, ribs caved in, punctured lungs, like dead, and they both just get up and go in the window.
I
And I was
thought
just like,
the thing with the propane tank in the refrigerator,
oh, that was ridiculous.
it was like, it was cool, but I was like,
Yeah.
everyone would be dead. You'd all be
Oh yeah, no,
dead
that's
right
yeah.
now.
The fridge would not be able to withstand that and then just fly back. It would just explode in an instant. But
Um,
again, I guess I also kind of halfway through this movie, I kind of realized that I should treat this like shoot 'em up, not like um, something else, because this is essentially also like shoot 'em up with fists, where it's just like, yeah, the story's there, it's enough to carry the characters through the thing, but you're just here for the action, and
well,
I
no, I
think they
don't
told like,
need the story to be great, and I mean the action is great, but I guess that, like, I don't know, maybe I'm not as into action alone in a vacuum. I don't
yeah,
as much as I used
I'm
to, as
more
I was as a
I'm a lot
kid.
more forgiving with it. Yeah, I'm a lot more
Um,
forgiving with it. I'm definitely am like I think the action, other than the Mad Dog scene at the end, should have been cut in half. I am if you put that in half,
The
I
old
think
nuts, I just had I didn't care about him. I knew that he was the
I knew you
traitor and
yeah,
eventually needed
yeah.
to die. And he was like, there was the long speech with the boss about how, like, you're
I
fucked
got
no matter
confused by that.
what. And
Yeah, I was
yeah,
confused.
it was weird. It was weird. And I didn't understand. I mean, I kind of just got that, like, none of this is everything you're doing here is futile. You're already dead. You were sent here to be killed. Like, and it took so long for him to just be like, all right, I guess I'm gonna kill myself, and then I can't
Uh,
kill myself.
but
um
I was just like, if you're like, why did if you? I just got it's like, if was he not working for that guy because he still was trying to like capture him to get out, or was he just like I don't know. Like I knew he was going to be the heel turn, but I was confused in their dialogue on how, and maybe I just like missed a line reading the subtitles, but it was just like how he like, um, the guy's just like, yeah, you're fucked. You can't do anything. You were sent here to die, like you said. And then it's just like, well, then why is he just killing himself? Like, why is he like, is he just gonna get killed if he gets out anyways? But then what's the point of the guys arresting him anyways? Like the arresting old nuts and taking him out? 'Cause aren't they just gonna get killed by the people on the payroll, or does it not matter now because everyone's dead? Like, I got confused at the end. Um, but I don't know if you.
yeah, it's a flaw. It's the great premise, great action, so much great stuff about it, but, like, definitely narrative wise, it either didn't have enough to keep me interested in what was happening, why this fighting was happening. Like, it's sometimes I think now that I'm getting older, it's not about how you punch, it's why you punch.
Yeah, right.
And but this is still great. Like, I still recognize and appreciate this, and I'm so glad that it started. I want to see the raid 2 because it sounds even fucking wilder. I saw some clips, and it's like much higher budget, and it's fucking wild looking.
I've seen the car scene where because there was like a breakdown of how they shoot the actions, like the fight scene within the car, and it's just like it's like a jib arm with a car with no lid, and it just like goes in and is able to move around, and it's super cool. You should look it up. But
The
that's
the budget
scene.
for this was 1.1 million, and it
It feels
made
like
yeah, I would say so. Um, it made 9.3. It says on Wiki. Um,
Yep.
yeah, you can see there's some CG that was obvious. One thing I do notice in the production, I'm reading about the production is, they said that they really wanted to. They felt like movies, and they really wanted to capture the almost like I can't use for I lack of a better word, like the dirt and grime that kind of comes with the slums of
Mhm.
Jakarta. Indonesia. That's the capital of Indonesia. I'm pretty sure. Um,
Yep.
or one of the bigger cities, at least biggest cities.
Yeah,
And
it's one of those. Sorry, good.
I was just say to get a perspective of SWAT, and I know that the reputation for police in a lot of countries like that there's a lot of corruption. They get paid off a lot because they need money. Um, so yeah, there was elements of that with Old Nuts.
Yeah, and I would say it's pretty like I've been to Jakarta for work once. I was there for like 3 days, and it's very much kind of like at least I got the vibe of just like how India's got like you're in the nice part, and then as soon as you go beyond the walls, quote unquote, it's just like
That
how
yeah,
this.
there's some South American countries that are like that too. Um, that there's just like
But
the slums are way different
yeah,
than
Jakarta's a
that.
beautiful city though. But
I'm
yeah,
sure. I'm sure. It's super. I'm really interested in seeing Indonesia culturally represented. I always am. Like it's interesting that it's not just the same four to sit. 5, 6, 7 countries.
mhm.
We talked about it with South Korea and New Zealand. Um, and this is another country that I probably slept on with this kind of stuff. I'm glad I saw this, and I want to see more. I want to see the
Yeah,
raid too.
I would. Yeah, I definitely want to watch the sequel because if it like we keep saying walk to run today, but if it is just takes like the best parts of this and improves upon it, then I'm all in.
Yeah, obviously, like I said, John Wick, the raid. Um, I think Old Boy. I said some. I want to see Old Boy soon. I don't even care if it's a part of Boomfest. I want to see it
Have you
soon. I've never
have you
seen
not
it.
seen the you've never seen the original?
No, I don't want to see. I don't want to see the Spike Lee one.
Oh, I've seen both. The Spike Lee one is not very good. Like I like Josh Brolin in it, but the original is so good.
Yeah, I want to see it, and I saw comparisons for this to that, um, and I'm interested. I know that movie's influenced a lot of action too. I know I ripped on Netflix Marvel shows earlier, but actually Daredevil has some
Daredevil
really
has the old boy
slick,
callback.
yeah, has some old boy shit, and is super cool.
Yeah. Daredevil is probably the best of that kind of style of like action shows when it came to like the choreography stuff. Like the sister that first season, I think that's season one that has that hallway scene, but it is they do the brutality of Daredevil very well in that.
I
In
want
that.
to see where it comes from. I want to see old boy. Um,
Yeah,
but
you should watch it.
apparently the Joe Taslim, I don't know how you say if that's how you say his name, but he was like the lead cop, like the guy running the mission, not Old
Yeah, I think his
Nuts.
name was Jacka was his name, Jaka.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, Jaka, Sergeant Jaka. He plays Sub Zero in the Mortal Kombat movie.
The new one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that does look. He did look familiar too. Uh, um, I've seen the guy who plays Mad Dog in more than just in something else other
More.
than
Oh,
Star Wars.
I'm sure, because I
He
saw
looks
his
so
wiki come up.
familiar. He's that face that's just like you like recognizable. I'll just now forever and always know him as Mad Dog. And their language is Indonesian. It's their own language.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I looked it up. It is Indonesian.
Uh,
I feel like there's like not that much to say beyond this. I felt like like I said, it was lacking in plot, and it really needed variance of sets. Too many fights in apartments and hallways, and it just felt like the same. I kept I felt like the movie wasn't progressing, even though they were going up floors. It's just a number on the wall.
Yeah, I thought that it was gonna be more like where like how Dread is, where each floor is kind of a little different. Where I thought like I figured it would be like, maybe the first couple floors are like normal residential, but then you'd have like the floor that's the meth lab, the floor that's where the armory is, the floor that where all you know what I mean? But it's just other than the meth lab, which seems to be the second to top floor, it's just all normal residential floors.
Apparently, a Mad Dog is in John Wick 3.
That's what he's in, because I've seen John Wick 3. That's a great movie. That's probably what I know him from.
That seems
Or
to
I've
be
seen
about
him.
it. About it besides Star Wars. He's in the Raid 2. But
Mad Dog comes back in Raid
he's a
2?
different character, it says. I don't know if it's narratively linked. No, it says that. No, I'm on it right now. It says 2 hours after the events of the first film. So it's straight up like same day sequel.
Oh,
I always love it when sequels. I love it when sequels don't have time skips. I think they're way more interesting. I think it's harder to do to recreate the vibe. Because one, you're never gonna be able to fully recreate it with like cameras. Not like the technology is gonna make it look a little bit different. Like you're not gonna be able to recreate it perfectly. Unless it was made immediately, like production ended and you went right into the next film. That's the only fucking way.
The only people that do that are like Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame were shot
at the same time.
They're doing with the 3 Avatar movies right now. They're doing that, but like
those movies are gonna flop.
Money. I hope. I kind of hope they do.
There's no way. There is not. I feel like Avatar has the most inflated sense of popularity of anything I've ever, because everyone saw it, so they assume that everyone cares about it, and I highly doubt that. I really don't. I really doubt that Americans or no people all over the world don't really give a shit about Avatar.
I bought into the hype of it. I think I saw it 3 times in theaters, and because it was just every time I went with a different group of people that wanted to go.
Never saw it.
It's I will say it was the first time ever that watching a 3D movie in theaters, if you sat dead center, which I did on the one of the viewings, it was beautiful and immersive and awesome. But then I watched it years later on TV and I was bored, because you take away that and that immersion and spectacle, which is I think what it was riding on. But then technology advances and caught up or whatever, and it kind of lost its thing. And you realize, oh, I'm just watching what feels like a 4-hour version of Pocahontas. But
yeah, it's still fucking really long, and I've never seen it, but and now I'm like knowing that it's that long, and like so
I think it's 3 hours, 3
I have to see it. You have to see it without. Do you have to see it without? Can you see it without 3D? Like it seems like it's necessary.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I would watch it in 3D if you could find a way, because that's the way.
3D TVs aren't a thing now.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a solid movie. It's not a bad movie by any means, but it's just kind of long and without that prestige of the 3D immersion that actually like worked well. It just kind of was like, I don't know. It just gets boring. It's like how I felt about Peter Jackson's King Kong. First time I saw it, that was awesome. Every time I've seen it since, it's just like, Jesus.
I saw that movie. It was mediocre from the beginning. If Avatar's like Peter Jackson's King Kong, that's all you need to tell me, because it's like it feels epic, but it's not that. It's like just mediocre movie.
Yeah, it's a lot better than Peter Jackson's King Kong. I will say that, but it definitely does not deserve to be the highest grossing film of all time.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm placing my bets about the failure of the Avatar franchise. Yeah. If I would have put it in earlier, if I had a podcast.
I mean, James Cameron is really good though. I mean, he hasn't directed a bad movie.
Wait, who? James Cameron. We're gonna get to his ass someday. We're gonna nail his ass. Don't you worry about it.
I thought about doing Aliens for the director's cut of Aliens, which is also like 3.5 hours. For this, because this
No,
is straight up
fuck the
action movie.
director's cuts. Some director's cuts are good. Some director's cuts are indulgent and
Yeah, the Aliens.
masturbatory.
Yeah, the Aliens director's cut is so long. I remember watching that with CJ in like high school or college, and it was just like it's at least 3 hours. And
Apocalypse Now, like that director's cut, is way inferior. Blade Runner's director's cut, way inferior. Like they're just bloated. That doesn't just because you like more of a movie you like, I've realized doesn't make it better.
I thought the director's cut was the like the cut to watch, and
For
then the
what?
final cut was just a recolor grade of it for
No,
Blade Runner.
no. Final cut is a shorter. Is not the same as director's cut. The final
Oh,
cut is an actual final. Is supposed to be the best cut. Like have the best of both worlds.
okay.
I
I just
haven't
thought
seen
I
it.
read that the final cut was just a recolor grade of the director's
The
cut.
director's cut is so boring. I watched it and it is so long. And I was like, this is supposed like I love this aesthetic and I'm so bored. Why? um okay, the Terminator 1 and 2 are awesome. I guess Titanic is a big deal.
For that time, yeah. If you like for when that came
True
out.
Lies is probably his dud of his not dud, but his The Abyss is not that big of a deal, but it's good. Yeah, I mean, he just has these big giant movies. He's been doing them since the Terminator.
Yeah, he's really good at the big blockbuster. Like
That's
that's his
why.
like.
Yeah, this is your kind of guy right here.
But well, he's also a huge fan of just like pushing technology, like in filmmaking technology, as far as it can go, and like intentionally putting things off until technology can catch up to his vision and stuff like that. And it's, like he knows what he wants, he knows how to do it, and he's like on the ground floor of developing a lot of like the techniques and stuff for like the 3D and the motion capture and how they were doing. Because to this day, what like Avatar's CGI still holds up to anything out now, and it's just because of just how much fucking like work and everything they put into it. Like the water alone, like and just like on how it. There's a scene where like Jake Sully's avatar falls into the river and he's like climbing out, and it's just the way that the water and everything goes. It's 100% CG, but it just looks so real for when it came, especially for when it came out. But it still holds up now. But
All right. No more James Cameron. No more. I can't take it. My heart can't take it.
the cam dog.
Yeah, but let's get back to the raid. We got way off track. We actually need to talk.
Yeah.
We have to finish talking about the movie before we go on rants about other people. What? So the raid. Talk about it.
We covered most of the movie. The only other thing I had in my notes about it was, let me just go over make sure. Da, 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 da.
All right. Well, then let's just give our scores then.
Yeah, we pretty much covered everything I was at. My notes were mostly just praise, except for just how long the last like 15 minutes felt.
Yeah, the ending felt long. It was just like it was good. It's good, but well, yeah. What do you give it?
The performances seemed great.
I don't. Yeah, as far as I could tell, I didn't have a problem with the acting at all.
Yeah, it seemed legit. It seemed great. I do wish that that Sergeant Jacka didn't die, because I was hoping it was gonna be like him, our boy, and Old Nuts at the end, rather than just the random guy, our boy, and Old Nuts. But Mad Dog.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be that. I knew that somebody had to die, and this they killed everyone right off the bat. And honestly, I feel like I hadn't completely understood who all died from the first wave, and then Joe Taslim was in this, Jacka was in this fight, and then died, and I was like, oh well, I guess this is. And then it became like the second half of the movie with just our 3 people left.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. It was just like they're in the car, or they first get out of the truck and they're talking to Old Nuts, and he's just like, "You brought all these kids out here? They're all just gonna die." And then immediately, as soon as shit happens, they all die. They all get mowed down in an instant.
Yep. Yeah.
But
All right, what are you giving this movie?
I'd say 3.5. I'd say 3.5.
I think I'm giving it a 3. I wavered to 3.5, but I think a 3 as a movie itself. I would give it a 3. I think everyone online just gives us such a high score, but I don't think I see it.
I'd give this a 4 to 4.5 if it was a clean 90 minutes.
Yeah,
But
there was a disconnect for me. There was just I did not get into this movie pretty much ever. But like I appreciated it throughout. But I just was like, I'm not
yeah,
liking it.
if this kind of style movie ain't your cup of tea, like isn't your
I didn't like
go-to.
Dread. This is how I felt. Dread is a 3 out of 5 movie to me. It's not. It's a good
I
movie.
like it a lot.
No, but like 3 out of 5 means it's a solid movie. It's a
Yeah.
very watchable, entertaining movie. That's how I feel about Dread. It wasn't that when I went to see Dread, I wanted there to be more than just killing up a building. It's such a simple plot of get from point A to point B, with a couple little twists along the way.
I feel like Dread is just meant to be the American version of this.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like Dread didn't resonate with me then, and I feel the same way about this now. Like I wanted Dread to be more, and I think not that I wanted this to be more, but it's not even that I wanted it to be more or expected it to be more. It's not like I had fucked up expectations. It just I wanted to connect, and I was into it in the very beginning because the premise was cool, and I was like, yeah, and then I just kept getting like losing focus on it.
Yeah, they're definitely probably kind of like how Rambo has in the second act, where things kind of slow down and whatever. The slowdown for this was really whenever the brothers were talking. I feel like when they like got pulled to a side, and it's very
That was
short-lived.
almost in that's like after the. I feel like that's 2/3 of the way through when that happens.
I think it's like at the beginning of the third act, because that's like last of the exposition outside of Old Nuts at the end, which was confusing. But the yeah, so I think it probably just needed a second to breathe for the viewer to catch up and just kind of, all right, cool, I can get a break. Let me calm down before I get my adrenaline all jacked up to watch dudes get stabbed a million times and RKO'd out of nowhere. But yeah, so I'd say 3.5 though for me, because I like these kind of stuff. I like the high action and stuff like this, and I'm a lot more forgiving with a lot of like plot stuff and all like that. But I will agree that if you shave 10 minutes off this, clean 90 minutes, I think it's a great movie.
I think a great movie, a great action movie does this, but gives you more gives you more reasons to care other than just be a vehicle for the action. Like there's and there is that to a degree for sure, absolutely, but not to the level of. And it's hard to compare it to First Blood because First Blood is a shooty movie and this is a punchy movie, but like the choreography and things are way different, and way more technical and intricate. But First Blood resonated with me on such a deep level that probably would make me overvalue it because of how well it balanced the narrative, the plot, the message. Like it was just such a well balanced film. It's a film. It's a straight up movie. It's not just action porn like I'm sure the later entries in the series end up being. So I think that's why I think that First Blood to me is an action masterpiece, and I think this is a influential and great and important action film on the genre, but I don't think it holds a candle to a hard boiled. Like there's the hard boiled example. I think is the best reason why this type of movie doesn't work for me. Whether it's Western with Dread or with this, is that there's like the pacing of it. It's like I don't know. Like it just starts off kicking ass and doesn't really give you time to give a shit. Like even in an anime that's action oriented, there's like those moments of reflection, or wait that gives it an emotional, like it makes you care about the characters more. I just like didn't care about these characters. I cared about our main guy, but he was so OP that I wasn't worried about him. Like I didn't feel like he could die. And honestly, I thought they were gonna kill the brother, and they didn't. And I was like, I felt that I was like, oh well, like okay, everything worked out perfectly for this guy, and everyone else's life is ruined by this. But I guess that's supposed to speak to how brutal this life is, or the stakes are for our main character, for Rama, our main character. Yeah. 3. I'm sticking with 3.
Yeah. I'm still 3 out of 5. Or 3.5. I mean, I think
that's a fine score. A lot of people seem to give it 4 or 3.5. So just, like to do my letterbox roundups. Ralph the Movie Maker gave it a 4.5. Chris Stuckman gave it a 3.5. Roger Ebert, who's dead by the time this came out, but his website apparently gave it a 1 out of 4. I Hate Everything gave it a 5 out of 5.
Oh
and
shit!
Patrick Willems gave it a 4.5. So everyone scored it. Everybody scored it way higher than First Blood, which I think is crazy. Maybe because they never saw anything like it and it just blew them away. But there's no way this movie is better than First Blood to me. And not just because of the Western thing I told you with Dread. Like, for our people at home who think I'm just biased against an Indonesian flick.
I think you got the year wrong on the title. It came out in 2011 at the Toronto Film Festival. But for 2011, this coming out, like I can see
that makes more sense about the way it looks.
Yeah, like for this being 2011, I feel like this for $1 million budget in 2011.
Oh, they got their money's worth.
With this, well, I'm saying like with the kind of action that was going around in that era, I definitely felt like this were probably like a nice breath of fresh air. And then because now this whole type of movie is just its own thing with like the John Wick series and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. 3.5 still though, but it's definitely. I could see why people like if I watched this in 2011, I would probably have given it a 4. My younger self, my 18-year-old.
Yeah, younger self might like this more as well.
I would have probably given it a 5 at the time, like a 4.5. But after seeing all the John Wicks and seeing Dread and seeing all the other different kinds of action movies that have come out since, it's kind of like you got to remember to appreciate that this kicked off a whole subgenre of this kind of like fight choreography and movies and stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, I got to grade it as it is right now, and I'm giving it a 3.5.
All right.
I want to give it a 4. I want to give it a 4. I don't want to lie, but I think Rambo is a more like actual, like you said, like complete film, where this is just a fucking sick action sequence that's an hour and 40 minutes long.
Yes, that's what it feels like. An hour and 40-minute set piece. It's great. Absolutely, you should watch it if you're into action flicks. Like if this is your thing, action is your thing, then you should watch this movie for sure. You'll love it.
If our dad hasn't already seen this, he'd love it.
He'd love it. Absolutely. This is the kind of shit my dad loves.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
I'm looking at I pulled up my list. I just wanted to put where I'd rank these.
I'm glad that we're doing this and Dread back to back though, because I really think it's good to compare.
I was thinking that too.
Like 2014. I think Dread came out in 2014. But it's good to see like, do you think I'm very curious to see because I haven't seen Dread in a long time which one I'm gonna prefer. Because Dread's a little more shooty, or I should say a lot more shooty and less martial arts.
Yeah, it's more shooting action.
Oh, correction. Dread came out a year later.
Oh,
2012.
Wow.
That means that they had to have been production like the same time.
But they think everyone says that they're influenced by it, like it's influenced by it.
Yeah, 2012.
Who directed Dread? Anyone of note?
I want to say it was Joseph Kahn, but yeah. Oh no, I'm pulling up right now. I'm just
Oh, that sounds like it might be right.
there. It is. Come on, internet. Oh no, directed by Pete Travis.
I put the Raid. I liked it better than Army of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
I put First Blood over Jojo Rabbit on my rankings, which is
I
which is
I think
7.
I would have liked Jojo Rabbit over First Blood, just because it has the. I think I like the at least lately I've been more of like appreciating like the like well done comedies. I swear that I remember reading something about this where this like the director who's credited didn't actually direct it, and it was directed by like somebody else pretty much directed it for him. But maybe I'm thinking of a different movie.
Oh, it's written by Alex Garland, though, isn't he?
It's
Yeah, he's the
produced by Alex
guy.
Garland.
Yeah, he wrote 28 Days Later and The Beach. He's a author. Oh, yeah, and he directed the movie Ex Machina. I think
Alex
that's what
Garland,
you're
yeah.
talking about. Maybe he's the guy who kind of low key directed this because he ended up directing after Dread. He did Ex Machina, Annihilation. He does the TV show Devs that's out. It's supposed to be decent. I never.
Yeah.
It's on FX or Hulu or something.
The development of this film was announced in 2008.
Well, yeah, the development. They were gonna make another Dread, but I don't know if it became what it became at that point.
And they started working on the script in 2006. I'm trying to see the connection between this and the raid is what I'm trying to find. Um,
Well, that's something we can look into before
for
next
next week.
episode.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested. That is
It was
super interesting.
shot with 2 Red Mysterium X cameras in tandem for 3D. It did the proper 3D shooting where you shoot 2 cameras at once
Oh.
rather than doing because that's like you have it. There were so many movies that were converted to 3D in post that just killed 3D movies as a whole. Because there's very few that were actually shot in 3D. You had like the Hobbit series with Peter Jackson. You had the Avatar. You had Prometheus from Ridley Scott. Dread. Those were all the ones that if you saw them in 3D in theaters, like I did, and it was just actually fucking awesome 3D.
So
Um,
I literally just Googled the Dread 3D and the Raid Redemption. Why are they so similar on Quora? And somebody said, it's not a ripoff, just a hell of a coincidence. He's like, first, the plot idea of the hero being trapped in a building is not that original, having been done in previous movies such as Die Hard and Air Force One. It's done for financial reasons. The production on Dread started in November 2010, while The Raid didn't start until March 2011. So even with this 4-month head start, Dread still didn't manage to make it out first. So if there was a ripping off of ideas, then who was ripping off who? There's no way The Raid ripped off Dread. That just doesn't make sense.
well, this sounds like it's just a hell of a coincidence then.
Hollywood is rife with thievery. Scripts and concepts get passed around. These two films were likely inspired by an idea and or script making the rounds, and people make movies with that in mind. I don't know, man, about that, since considering The Raid was made in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Unless the script was being passed around Hollywood.
I mean, at that point, did Gareth Evans have anything in Hollywood going around? Because it also depends on what his. Because his last movie was also just an Indonesian movie.
Dread didn't make its money back, also. I'm seeing here.
Really? Oh man. Yeah, there was a big campaign I remember in the mid 2000s of people trying to boost Blu-ray sales to get a Dread 2.
Yeah, it was not gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. That's a shame. But at least Carl Urban is very popular because of The Boys.
Oh, he did a great job. I feel like he's the best part of that movie. He was on board to do a sequel too. Like he was part of the group of people pushing to try to get it made.
All right. All right. Well, I think that we talked about our next week's videos or movies enough. Let me get up the best
Dread
boys
and the
flag.
Killer.
Dread and the Killer. The Killer is a John Woo movie, and after how much I was sucking hard boiled off.
Yeah, how much you were sucking eggs?
It's not the 19. There's a million movies called The Killer, but it's the one from 1989.
Gotcha. Is it U.S. or is it foreign? Or
It's Hong
you said John
Kong.
Woo.
Yeah,
John Woo.
it's John Woo while he's still making Hong Kong.
Gotcha. The Killers. Don't kill me.
Apparently, they were going to try to remake it with Richard Gere and Denzel Washington.
Ooh.
It doesn't say what the budget is. Yeah, some people think this one's better than Hard Boiled.
1989. That's cool that we're doing both. Like this week we had one 80s and one 2010s, and this next week is another 2010s and another 80s.
Yeah, we usually we definitely try to pick something newer and something older.
Yo, is that the guy from Hard Boiled though?
Chow Yun Fat? Yeah, he's in it.
He's in both of them.
Chow Yun Fat's in like three of his movies. He's in a better. He's also in A Better Tomorrow, which is one of John Woo's best.
I pulled up the movie poster on IMDb and was like, this looks like the cover of Hard Boiled.
Yeah, the second lead is somebody different. Chow Yun Fat is John Woo's guy.
Gotcha. Oh, this would be exciting though.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I loved Hard Boiled. I honestly want to see it again. But I'll probably save it for this. Yeah, Hard Boiled is definitely one of my favorite action movies maybe ever. But I've only seen it once, so I can't confirm that yet. I'm excited to see Heat. Heat's supposed to be awesome.
Is that with
Val Kilmer, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino?
Gotcha, yeah.
It's like a heist. It's supposed to be one of the best heist movies. But it's like an action heist movie, not like an Ocean's 11 heist movie.
Yeah.
But all right, let's wrap it up. Thank y'all for joining us this afternoon. I was gonna stay on for a little bit, but I think I hear Riss moving around back there, so I'll probably see what she's up to. Good luck out there in the city of Angles.
Nice. I wear elbow pads now, not to get cut.
Yep. Hope it goes good. Don't melt out there from the global warming.
Yeah.
And Boomfest continues next week. Dread and the Killer. You got any final thoughts? Sign offs?
No, just keep on keeping on. Tell your friends. Let them know that there's a movie podcast talking about big booms.
Yeah. Hope maybe I'll actually set up the RSS feed so the audio can go somewhere. But yeah, see y'all next week. Have a good week. Enjoy yourself. See some good movies.
Later.
Follow us on all the things.